Hi, I'm Dr. Morton Schomer, a behavioral optometrist. My concern is about the whole child, not just the health of the eyes and 20/20 sight, but how has a child learned to use his eyes? Has he developed visual skills such as eye movement control, eye focusing, and teaming of the eyes? Has he learned to use his vision with other senses, such as movement, hearing, and touch? Has he learned to use language and thinking and creativity? During my 60 years of practice, I've worked with children who have learning problems, and I've helped them build a better mind. How do you build a mind? Let's take a look at how the mind develops. The great psychologist William James described the behavior of the newborn infant as a blooming, buzzing confusion. The newborn infant knows nothing at all about his objective world. This information is slowly acquired by experience. He soon learns not to reach for the moon, and before long his perceptual judgments about the relations of things come automatically, and so he is able to make practical adjustments to his surroundings. Most children with learning problems have not acquired the basic information about the world they live in. Before the abstract or academic subjects are presented, the child must become aware of the concrete things in the environment. He must know how to move himself and know how to move objects. He must know where he is in space and where objects in space are located. He must know about the timing of his actions and the timing of the external world. These abilities are called perceptual skills and enable the child to learn how to learn. Perception is the cornerstone for building the mind. Perception is the act of becoming aware of objects and the physical realities of the universe, the stars, sun, planets, the days and nights, seasonal variations, atoms, molecules, birds, all objects in motion, space, and time. The child becomes aware of motion, space, and time through the senses, illustrated here by KAVTB: kinesthesis, audition, vision, touch, and don't forget balance. It plays a crucial role in our development. A professor of neurology, C. Judson Herrick, stated, "Motility is the seedbed of the mind. Motion jump-starts the whole mental process." According to neuroscientists, this model of the universe needs to be created inside the child's head, in the brain, to build the mind. It's the foundation for consciousness, thinking, language, and creativity. In 1975, in cooperation with the Head Start program and WKYC-TV in Cleveland, I produced 10 programs called Perceptual Development, the Pre-Academic Skills of Learning. I demonstrated many procedures to help build a better mind. Behavioral optometrists Dr. Getman and Dr. Skeffington pointed out the basic sequence of development, 5 kinds of training procedures for helping children with learning disabilities. First, gross motor activities. The importance of this can't be overstressed, since the most elementary kinds of thinking develops with movement. It's the catalyst for the whole mental process. The modern dilemma is that as the need for efficient thinking increases, children are becoming more sedentary and lack movement skills. Programming gross motor procedures, such as crawling through a tunnel, hopping, jumping, and rhythmic movements of the arms and legs, speed up the developmental processes and reduce hyperactivity and clumsiness. It's a good idea to start gross motor activities at a very young age and pose the movements until the child can imitate. When that happens, it indicates an advanced level of mental processing. Second, hand-eye coordination. It paves the way for communication between the senses, and it's an important step for intellectual growth. As the child's hands and eyes work together, his space world is extended. He needs to touch and manipulate objects. Although he does explore and do much of this on his own, specific materials should be provided, and the child should be encouraged to imitate the teacher by copying her reproductions. Poor hand-eye coordination causes illegible handwriting and difficulty manipulating tools and other objects. Third, visual skills. Vision should become the dominant process for learning about the world. Each eye is capable of supplying as much information as the rest of the body. Unfortunately, many children haven't learned how to see. The child with a visual dysfunction frequently skips words and loses his place while reading, and because he cannot keep his place with his eyes, he uses his finger to point. The child should learn how to control his eye movements long before he learns how to read. Here's a few examples how visual training procedures help develop this important skill. Here the child watches a ball on a string as it moves back and forth. This boy follows the ball around a trash lid. Binocularity, or eye-teaming problems, are apt to cause a short attention span and distraction. A child may have poor directionality. By this I mean the child is likely to confuse B's, D's, P's, Q's, saw, was. This can happen even though the child has perfect sight. Specific therapy can be given by the optometrist to correct this dysfunction. Other visual skills, such as far and near focusing, speed and span of seeing, need to be developed to maximize learning potential. These visual processes need to be developed since 80% of our knowledge comes to us through our eyes. Fourth, auditory perception. Many children have not learned to hear properly, even though their ears are healthy. Conversations with other children develop listening skills. Also, the child needs to use his ears to localize objects in space and develop an awareness of rhythm or time. For example, 2 long sounds or 4 short sounds. A metronome is very useful in developing auditory perception. It can be used while doing movements to a beat and other kinds of hearing activities. There is the wind-up kind and also a quartz electronic metronome, which has an additional feature of a light flashing. The child should be able to reproduce a sound or a series of sounds. Inadequate auditory perception causes difficulty to hear the difference between words, such as cat, sat, thimble, symbol. This skill is a foundation for speaking. Finally, visualization. The brain becomes very organized into a treasure of sounds, sights, smells, tastes, touches, and symbols. These should be retrieved by the mind's eye in order to read, remember, think, and become a creative member of our society. To accomplish this, you need to make movies in the mind, a special kind of thinking. We think in pictures and words. However, visual thinking needs to be emphasized, since young children learn to read pictures before they read words. During the programs, you will see many procedures that I demonstrated to cultivate this unique ability. Here's a few examples. During this exercise, the child needs to visualize 12:15 and place his arms where the hands of the clock would be. Here's another example. Look at this letter L and make a movie in your mind of how it would look if I turned it upside down. Do you see it in your mind's eye? Did you get it right? These perceptual skills and many others can be accurately evaluated at an early age, even before the child starts school. Training procedures can then be programmed so that maximum potential is realized. It has been conservatively estimated that at least 20% of the school population have perceptual dysfunction. It seems evident that those charged with responsibility of education should be concerned about their students' perceptual development. This is certainly true with respect to the underachievers. It should be equally true for the achieving students as well. This series of 10 programs on perceptual development was designed to help parents improve their children's learning abilities. Ideally, this enrichment should begin during the preschool years.